Hi and welcome back to Down the Shed with me, Jason. So here we're going to make the Bluetooth boombox jobby, as I've been referring to it, or as the instructionals call it, the HU075 radio audio kit. So we've got a half decent little build sheet as normal. Compared to normal, in fact, let's give you a quick look at that schematic, but it's not going to be a detailed one. Actually, let's see what we can get into that camera. There we go. So we get a half decent legible build diagram, but thankfully with this board I've had to rub the edges down. 3 out of the 4 were rough as blooming arseholes. We've got a pretty decent board which has all the component values on it, so there's no guessing. And what makes me like this kit even more is they've actually bothered marking the resistors: 100 ohms, 1k, 2k, 1m, so I know the values before I even have to play with that. So we can literally populate half of this board, or nearly all of this board, before we have to reference the instructions. Now it does look like most of this kit goes on the front of the board, but the variable resistor appears to go on the back, so we don't want to mess that up. We have a bunch of LEDs, and it suggests that we put the greens on the outside, blues inside those, and the pink in the middle, which is the way I would have gone for it. So obviously it's like a visual thing, like a spectrum analyzer, so they're just going to go from the edges into the middle. So without further ado, let's get on and build this. So I think we're going to have a struggle with getting a lot of these parts in while it's in the PCB holder. I got this on Amazon a long time ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. This is a great piece of kit. You can see it in the other camera, and I think I'll have to raise that up and angle it down a bit more before we start. Got me component tester ready, but thanks to the board, don't need it this time. So let's move these parts out of the way. We've got 4 chips, 2 Zener diodes, as I want to call them, a couple of blank caps, 2 electrolytic caps. When I say blank caps, I mean like buttons or caps to go on something. I love you, buddy. Good boy. He's missed me because I've been at community service without him all day. I miss you as well, buddy. He's, oh, please don't leave me again, Dad. But I've got 2 more days to do, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love you. I love you, Sherlock Holmes. Go on. Good boy. Down you go, buddy. No, biting. He likes biting. So I'm going to start populating this. Let's crack on. Right, it does appear as if we're getting spare parts. So it came with 2 1M resistors. We only need 1 here in R3. Right, so we have 10Ks in R1, R4 and R25. Right, R2, R9 and R10 are 1K resistors. R28 is a 2K resistor, and R6 is a 5.1K resistor. Right, next I've put the microphone on. I think I may go with the variable resistor next. Just populating the board in a kind of a methodical way, going through the resistors, but I'm also just putting on things that are in the general area to get parts of the board finished. So we're just, that, as I said, goes on backwards. So we'll solder this one in. So remember, heat the pin, heat the pad, introduce the solder, let it flow, remove the heat, heat the pin, heat the pad, introduce the solder, let it flow. I'm going to have to make a phone call in a second. I've got to contact my local radio station. And there we go. So that's the variable resistor. I'm just going to give that a quick trim. A couple of spots where it can... There we go. So that so far is the variable resistor, the microphone, and the resistors I've already gone through. Okay, so C1 is a 104 ceramic type capacitor. What are they calling it? Single stone capacitor. And C2 is the other one, so we'll get both of those together. Sorry, C3 is the other one. C2 is an electrolytic. So C1 and C3 are the 104 stone capacitors. We'll do those. Okay, so that's C1 and C3 on board. C2 is an electrolytic, 100 UF. Remember, the shaded side is the negative, long leg is positive. The board is marked, you've got the shaded side, and you've got the square hole for the positive and the round hole for the negative. Now this one is going to lay down, so you want to try and get it so it literally sits flat on the board, like so. There we go, nice and flat. So we'll get that soldered. Right, and so we may as well get the other capacitor, which is a 4.7 UF. Again, long leg positive, short leg negative. And this one's going to lie down as well. Don't forget the shading on the board and the hatching on the board and the grey on the capacitor. Let's get it sitting down nicely like that. Solder that in. Right, so just a quick board update. We have the microphone, we have the stone or ceramic type capacitors, 104s, 100 UF, 4.7 UF, and a selection of the resistors on board, and the variable resistor which goes on the back of the board. Right, as you can see, we've got U1, U2, U3 already soldered onto the board just to save some time. So these are the LM358P op amps for audio signal processing. So I've got the fourth one already sized up, so that literally goes on the board here. Now remember, there's a little notch in one end. There you go, little notch in one end of the chip. Just remember to match that up with the notch on the board, otherwise you've got all the legs the wrong way. It simply goes in, and we'll get that one soldered on. Right, R7, R8, R11 and R12 are both all four of those are 100 ohms with one spare again. R15, R16 are 200 ohms, which means we're left with R5, 13, 14, 17, 18, R5, 13, 14, 17 and 18 to do. Right, so the last of the components, excluding the LEDs, because we'll have to approach them in a different way, is the 1N4148 diodes. Remember, there's a line on the board that has to correspond with the little black band on the diode. So if you get that wrong, remember, diodes only allow power through in one direction. Some, when they hit a certain voltage, they allow power back through the other way, but most diodes are a one-way valve. So you get it wrong, it's proper wrong. So D1, D22 are the 1N4148 diodes. Right, so as I said a moment ago, apart from the power on the end there and the LEDs, that is this board complete. There's the variable that goes on the back. So this is, bearing in mind their op amps, audio, this is the amplifier board for the kit. We've already seen the radio MP3 side of it, which is already complete. All we've got to do is plug it in and wire it up. So what we need to do now to finish this board is find the piece of case, because when the LEDs go on they have to be bent, so we need to basically figure out the first one where it needs to be, and then we can put the rest in the same. Right, the first two green LEDs are on the board, and as you can see they've been folded over so they sit up like that. I've checked them with the back case, so you need to get this orientated correctly. So the little hole there is where you will get your screwdriver in to turn the potentiometer, and the two holes here are where the screw holes are on here. So that sits slightly, well, quite proud, but if you get that in the hole, you can see we're just about within tolerances of the board. So you don't want them sticking up too high. I've got them about 1 millimetre off the board. You can see there's a bit of gap. Let's put this behind there and you can see there's a bit of gap. Any more than that and you're risking having to lower them, or literally spend hours pissing about desoldering and whatnot. So that is your best bet for fitting them. Long leg positive, short leg negative, or long leg anode, short leg cathode. So the best way to do this is to put them in like so, and then you're just going to trial and error bending them in. So that's slightly too short. That looks to be about right. It's not too bad. So we'll blue tack that down. It's slightly shorter than the others, but it's not too bad. I mean, I won't worry too much about them unless you're going for the absolute thousandths of an inch precision. I wouldn't worry overly about it. You basically want them all about the same. So we'll bring some solder into the game once the soldering iron's woken up. So I'll get the rest of these in. So remember, the first two are green, the next two are blue, and then the four in between those are pink. And yes, I've checked them, they are pink. Right, so there we have two greens on the end, two blues on the inside of those. So the four pinks will go in here. As you can see, we've kind of got them levelish as best we can. This is the benefit you get of me making these videos for you. You see me put in the effort, and sometimes the fuck ups, and sometimes, well, most of the time hopefully, a working, functioning device. Righty, as you can see, they're almost level. There are, you can see the orange lenses in those pinks, so we'll get it a bit closer. You see the orange in there? Those are clear and they're orange. So we'll get it back in line. Pretty much there. Let's just get them all sort of sitting nice and level with each other. So these are going to flash like a spectrum analyzer, in and out. Green, blue, pink, left and right. So that is the board, amplifier board, pretty much complete. So let's show this, show it to the computer, get that close up. And our doobry on the back. Does that have a good look? Oh look, that's nice. So let's get a decent in view there. So the microphone will pick up the sound from the music, play it through the board and flash the LEDs. So this bit is pretty much done. I'm going to figure out wiring. Actually no, I'm going to peel the cases and start working on that, because all we have left now is all the wiring, the speakers and mounting stuff. Right, so quick test fit of the case. I haven't put the ends in, I just, because the speaker part actually looks quite twisted now with the speakers in, tightened up, which possibly it is. We'll take all this apart again in a minute.
A woman and her child.
There's a little bit. Does appear to be a bit bent. But once it's in
Either
its
save one or lose both.
yeah, once it's in its case there, it's all good. So we've got our speakers fitted to the crystal case. That's let's have a look. M3x8 screws and M3 nuts. So I've soldered the cables to the speakers. So we've got the power cables for the sound already connected to the speakers. And as I said, the speakers are now connected up or bolted up to the crystal case. So we can put that part to one side. So this will go in like that. The LEDs will be showing through here. So when that's like this, the speakers actually go on. Don't know where it belongs. Let's get it back in. So when it's finished, it's going to be something like that. So the speakers will be at the front, that'll be facing forwards, and you'll see the LEDs in here, I assume. Right, so again, we're going to be using the M3x8, the short ones, and M3 nuts. So we'll fix this on. I'll put the caps on, and I'll see you in a second. Right, so we've got the main brain unit connected. You can see the end caps are in. It's connected with M3 nuts and screws. Right, okay, so far we've got the speakers fitted to the case. We've got the top fitted. As you can see, I've angled the LEDs to about a 45-degree angle now, because that is the top. So this will sit like this, and I think they look a little bit better just pointing at an angle. I might even give them a bit more of an angle, but they do have a bit more presence this way, so I'm quite happy with that. What we need to do now is figure out how everything else is wiring up. Now we need to put the power, the rocker switch in here, and over here is where the antenna goes. That's the long leg that you solder this red wire off the main board to. So that's the antenna off the radio board. That solders to the long wire on here, and then we screw this to that board. So let's start populating that. I have temporarily let's put this over here. I have temporarily attached this to the board. So M8 screws top and bottom, and the what are they calling it? Secure the circuit board to the rear housing using M3x28 nylon posts and M3x8 screws. So that's the 28mm nylon posts with 4 M3 screws. Bearing in mind we've actually got another one of these to build yet. And in my next order, if it hasn't sold out by Wednesday, I will have another kit coming which modifies one of these Bluetooth audio radio kits in a fun way. So I'm not going to let that one out of the bag, because it A, might not happen, and B, it won't be for a couple of 3 weeks anyway. But we're going to have some fun with one of these two. Whichever one I like the best is the one we'll modify. So power switch, I think we'll have up on, down off. So that literally just pushes. Should just slip straight in there basically. Might have to give the clips a bit of a, there we go. Right, we'll have to push the locking tabs in slightly to help it. There we go. So that's the rocker switch in. Up on, down off. They call it a boat switch in the instructions. Do not ask me why. Next we have the power module, or socket. So we'll take that retaining nut off again, slip that in, lock it on. Now I am thinking it would be a good idea to take that board off already, because it is kind of getting in the way. They look more complicated than they are. The only bit that's freaking me out at the moment is connecting all these power things together. So now we have the 2 posts, the rocker switch and the power socket. Right, so this hole is for the variable resistor. So the other aerial connector wants to go in this one. So again, unscrew the little lock-in screw. I've got the long one to the base, so we can solder this one on fairly easily. So that's what that's all going to look like. We have to plug the speakers into these two, the power into that. This one wants to go over to here. So if I do connect this one up now, we're going to have this one permanently connected to there, and we can't move it very far. So once we've soldered all the other connectors in, we'll do that one last. We could obviously take the little screw off the front and just let it hover about connected, but we don't want to be doing that. I'm liking this. So we get a spare short bolt, a spare long bolt, a spare nut. They do like to give us our spare bits. We do have to remember, however, when we connect these speakers up, that we get them correct, left and right. So the one here is obviously going to be left, and this is obviously going to be right. So when we connect that to this board, we want to make sure they're done correctly. And believe it or not, if you went with left and right, you'd be wrong. The middle one is left and the outer one is right. Right, let's go and work out what I'm doing with these power cables. Right, what we'll do next is we'll get these two components over here wired up, which is the rocker switch and the power socket. We need to cut sections of this wire out, but we also need to connect the power socket with this, so pos, neg, and then those two actually connect to the positive and negative on here. So we should do that bit in a minute. What we shall do first is worry about figuring out this part. So use the remaining section to connect the positive terminal to power interface and the boat shaped switch together. I love the way it calls it a boat shaped switch. Obviously there's no polarity on the boat shaped switch. I'm just trying to see which is what on the other switch. So negative are the two single blades and the positive is the big one with the rivet in it. So the big riveted terminal is positive and those two smaller ones are negative. I'm just going to show this quickly because it is a bit confusing, but this is how it's telling you to do it. So we want to connect. I'm going to find a different piece of wire for this. So just double check. Always double check. So we want to go from the positive to the switch, and then the positive and negative from the board go to the switch and the negative go to the socket. So that seems simple enough. So we're going to solder the positive to one of these and then the negative of the board will go to this one and the positive will go to this one. So just to give you an idea of what we got so far, that's got both the positives soldered onto the rocker switch and the positive onto the power socket. So now we just need to solder onto either one of those negatives. Right, now the easiest way of soldering this to this board, I think, would be to solder these on to start with and then just add the other two afterwards. What we should have is a connected, I've soldered to the top so you can see it's connected at the base. Now what we can do is take our other power cable and just solder that to this. So if you can see, we've got a couple of decent sized tabs on that one. So if we just give ourselves a decent pad of solder, we can just add to that. Right, so now we've got the positive and the negative connected to that. We've got the positive and negative connected to that. So the rocker switch, the power socket are all connected. What we need to do now is to connect the antenna to the audio socket and then build this puppy. So let's get on with it. Bearing in mind we've got to be careful now with all these wires we've got connected. We've still got the speakers and the power plugs to fit. What I need to figure out is why I've got 4 short and 4 long to connect these two pieces back together. So, right, so we can connect this power wire in. Just tuck that down in there. We could have cut all these much shorter, of course, apart from the... So at the moment the back looks something like that. Can't get the glare off it. We need to connect the speakers now. So again, remember the middle connector is left, so that'll be this one, and this one will be right. Okay, that's pretty okay. So let's get this other one in. Again. So now we should be able to rebuild this completely. It's finished anyway, apart from the last few parts, plastic crystal parts. That should be, well, we can actually test it now to make sure it is working before we build any more. Fingers crossed. So I'm going to flick the power on. Oh, look at that. It's working. Oh, it goes from the middle out. I thought it would gone. See, I'd have put the greens in the middle, the blues, and then the pinks on the out if I knew it was going to go that way. You arse kit. So anyway, it's picking up. We can adjust the potentiometer through the back there, but we've definitely got something working. Let's see if we can get some audio. So somewhere I should have a recording I made from last night when I had to bring the radio station. Where's my aerial? Actually, let's just put the radio on. Plug the antenna in. So mode, Bluetooth. There we go.
Oh, God. It sounds a bit like a cardiac on a plate if you don't overcooked in its own fat. Can I ask, Andy, how you can listen to me when people are saying they can't hear me abroad anymore? How do you listen to me? You must.
Right, so you want to turn that right down and then turn it back up a bit.
Is going to be on tonight. Who lives in Cannes? You know, the author and the actress.
No, I'm afraid not.
Oh, well, you.
The other one has the speakers in the sides.
She used to be in.
So we'll build that one.
My family,
next.
not my family. All Creatures Great and Small. She was in. Andy, enjoy your rest of your evening, and you will feel replete.
Now, hopefully that won't hit a copyright. Late Night with Joe.
Lovely to hear from you. Thank you. Lovely to know.
I'm not going to try Bluetoothing anything into it. So I'm going to finish putting this back together. But yeah, that's a cracking little bit of kit. A little aerial. You can pull it out and put it in a drawer if you don't want it on there. So I'm going to figure out which screws go where. Finish building it. Actually, let's just get those two sides. Secure the circuit board to the rear, right. Connect the single terminal wire speaker, okay. Install the housing with M3x8 and M3x12 screws and M3x50 nylon posts and plug in the radio antenna. It doesn't tell us which posts go in where. Oh yes it does. So the long ones go in the bottom and the short ones go in the top by the look of it. Right. So what we'll do is we'll put the short ones in the top to get these posts in place, because we're going to need to get the sides on, and we can't put the posts in if the sides are on. So a big clue. It's easier to just put your finger on the screw actually and twist the nylon posts into place. Let's see if I can angle this down so it sees what I'm doing a bit better. Like that. One more. This is a bit fiddly in wires and everything all over the place now. No, told you it was going to be an arse. There we go, it's better. Right. So that's in place. Put those wires from out under there. That's better. Core wires, in you go. Definitely would be a good idea to cut the wires to the length you want, but then you haven't got much room to move everything about. So now we need to get these ends in, which is going to be an arse. Oh, these are fiddly as hell. Oh, I see why some of them are long. Because they have to reach the bloody thing. If you like Chinese fiddly puzzles, you'll love these. Are these not square? Is that what it is? Right, that's what it was. Okay, so they're not exactly square, those cases. Now the long ones will reach down to those nylon. Oh, that was a fiddle fuck. Basically, these side panels are slightly rectangular. And this will pull everything tight together. So don't overdo it straight away. I think the other radio kit I've got another one of these to do. But there's another radio kit. I think it's 18650 batteries rechargeable. It's a shame they don't make this with an 18650 rechargeable. Self-powered Bluetooth speaker would be so much handier than a flipping having to carry around a USB cable. And if you overdo these, you're there we go. If you overdo these, you're going to crack it like that. Good job that's the base, isn't it? We could put a bit of tape on that anyway. So anyway, speakers aren't protected. You can grab them. That's all in. 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 So there we have it. There's the top. There's the front. There's the back with our antenna, power and switch. There's the potentiometer adjustment screw hole. So let's have another quick listen. Now we've got it all back together. Or another quick look. Hi! Go straight to auxiliary mode.
the chats like we're doing now. I prefer that side, whereas commentary, no, it just wasn't for me.
Can I ask, did you ever hear or meet the badminton player called Jo Good? Emails
Joe Good,
for her,
BBC Wiltshire.
and I would get, in the days when I was doing the breakfast show in Brighton, I'd get written letters, fan letters.
We turned it down too far there.
To her, to me. And I never met her. And somebody said, you know, there's a badminton player called Jo Good. Is she still playing?
She's not. She coaches. Well, she still plays actually a little bit. She plays for Hertfordshire still, but she's such a brilliant woman as well, and she's such an inspiration for me.
Minimal
she won
adjustment
the
as I can get it on to hit the greens.
And
so
that
I
was
think
the
that's
first
good enough.
medal for Great Britain. So she was absolutely here. And then
good enough. See, it's not picking up on my voice as easily now. Before it was picking up on my voice. If I adjust that, when I talk, it listens. Hello. But if I adjust it back down again to about there, it's only just picking up on my voice. So when we get the sound going back through it, don't know what the flashing is on there. It's a bit random.
in the first ever Women's World Cup, she was a lioness. Your mum's an Olympic medalist. What are you going to do? And they just look at me, and then it's like, and they watch all YouTube. So I started playing YouTube clips of me, you know, going, come on, you know, this is your motivation. But no, they are brilliant. They play football, and Harry's just, to be fair, I actually like playing them at badminton.
I was going to ask.
So when we build the next one, we now know to put the greens in the middle, the blues and the pinks on the out, so we get a proper colour.
Oh gosh, I'm obsessed with those now. So yeah.
Do you ever play badminton on the beach?
No.
Okay, so the volume buttons move station up and down. Better get off that. Classical would be fine there. But if you want the volume, we press and hold. But it doesn't give you a very precise on the volume, because as soon as you let go and press once, you'll get the station change. But there we have it. Oh, let's put the card in. Apparently, when we get it in the right way, if we remember from the instructions, if we want to record, if we want to record to that card, press and hold the mode. That's flashing TF, so we're recording. And then press and hold mode again. Stop recording. So TF's on, saying there's a card in. So if we press and hold, it will start flashing. You can see it said record. Flashing. You can see it said record. And now it's recorded me. And now it's recording. So if you press the mode, it will change the mode for the recording. So I suppose you put it into whatever you want to put it into and then press and hold. Yeah, so you put it into whatever mode you want it in and then press and hold and it'll record. Don't know what that's saying though when I do that. Right, so let's go into TF card. SD. So there's the radio we recorded. Flashing. You can see it said record. There's my voice. That's blank because it was Bluetooth. Okay, so a neat little bit of kit. We can record radio, Bluetooth, auxiliary straight to SD card like we can with the Digit Now M36 hi-fi system. Button. You can see it said record. Or we can just use it as a radio, or a Bluetooth, or whatever. So, I mean, if you're prepared to carry a USB charger around with you, you can take this anywhere, or you need to be near a USB source. Basically, you need to be near a USB power source of any description to use it. But I think it's pretty neat. So, I'm going to end it there. I'll see you when we build the next one. Hopefully we'll be a little bit wiser and not make as many mistakes. Not that we made many on this one. And again, remember, you're not trying to talk these crystal shells down. Otherwise you'll just end up doing that, wherever it is. Bloody great crack going through there. But we don't mind, because this was only bought to make a video. And the video it is made. Okay, so this is this HU075 radio audio kit, Bluetooth, SD, USB, auxiliary and FM radio. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Shut up. No jumping. Alright. Sit.